What's up, YouTube? Old Sideburns here. Kind of a weird thing today, a little off the beaten path, so to speak. I'd seen this one day at a Target, and I was like, oh man, that's so cool. And I think the only thing was, it was a Target, and I have local game stores. So I went to a local game store, I went to Dragon's Lair, which I showed you some video from, and said, hey, do you have this? And they said, no, but we can get it. So I ordered it from my local game store, gave them a little bit of money, and I took it out last night to check out the rules, and I wanted to give just kind of like an overview and a slight review on what I'm thinking about this. So what was kind of interesting about this one was my understanding of the rules is it's a Royal Rumble, so you're just throwing people over the top rope. So there's no pins, there's no nothing like that. You get thrown over the top rope more or less if your life total goes to 0 or if you have a special card that says you can. I wanted to talk about just some of the cards that it came with and also just some of the things that I like or dislike about this set. So one of the things that I really like was because it's a Royal Rumble, the way it goes is you don't just get like, you know, 1 card, 2 card, or you know, like, or you don't just get like one guy who you play as. You actually play as like multiple people. I think it's something like if you play 3 players, you're supposed to get like at least like 6 cards each or something. So like even though you get thrown out as like Cactus Jack, you can come back as Mankind. It's too bad I don't think they actually have that, but that would have been great. And so it's also, you don't get to choose your superstar, you like draw your superstars, your legends, which is kind of neat because there is some power differential between them. I kind of put them in order of 6 health is kind of the low health, which is like, I was like, oh, Macho Man, poor guy is low health. Ric Flair, Million Dollar Man, Bret the Hitman Hart. I was like, they gave him low health. Jerry the King Lawler, Shawn Michaels. Yeah, I mean, he's a low, you know, high flyer. Honky Tonk Man. Eddie Guerrero starts pumping up the health, which is really interesting. British Bulldog has a lot of health, which is odd. Mankind, I was really happy to actually see this is like legends, but there's more what you'd call like Attitude Era as well. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Razor Ramon, the bad guy. Mr. Perfect, Junkyard Dog, Sting, I mean he was in WWE. A lot. Iron Sheik, Hulk Hogan. It's almost surprising Hogan's not like full Goldberg. Dusty Rhodes. This was really surprising that they gave him so much health. We'll have to look at maybe like we can look at Dusty's finisher and see if maybe they did something to make that make sense. Booker T, 5-time. Mark Henry, Jake the Snake Roberts. I was a little surprised he wasn't just like a 6-star. Ravishing Rick Rude. Batista, nothing against Jake the Snake, just because I don't know how much they play up him. I mean, Ric Flair was low health. Batista's really high health. Kurt Angle, Diesel makes sense. Ultimate Warrior, that kind of makes sense. Now then we get to like the biggest guys, Undertaker, which is nice. Interesting too. Like I'm surprised and a little disappointed they could have done 2 Undertakers. Maybe they'll put out like another set at some point, and they'll put out like you know, the other Undertaker or like the modern Undertaker, and then Andre the Giant, who has the most. So the one thing I don't like that they did is, so these are these cards, and I believe the way that you track health damage they suggest is to like more or less put this card next to it, and so that way you can say like, oh, you got 1 health. And then you just keep putting those, so like if you did a bunch of chops like that, you would do it like that. That's okay. I mean, that's okay, but what I don't like specifically is that they have a whole other card for specials. You don't draw the specials, you don't do, oh actually not these specials, the finishers. The finishers have their own cards, and it's really silly to me because now, like, if you draw Dusty Rhodes, I got to go through here and go, okay, where's Dusty Rhodes? Where's Dusty Rhodes? Dusty Rhodes. You got to do this. Okay, there's Bionic Elbow. So, I got to go through all that trouble. They could have put this detail on the card and, like, had it be like a flip effect or something like they do with Hearthstone cards. I mean, I guess it was only because of this that you'd have to be able to do this. You can only use these once, too. Like, you just get one, you can use one, that's it. So when you play this, you can choose a boost from the discard pile and play it with this attack. That sounds okay. I mean, it does 3 damage. 3 damage is like half life. So that's pretty decent, like especially for having this much health. And this is really the only thing that makes each superstar unique, is just they only have one finisher. They don't have any like iconic moves or anything else. They just got the one finisher. They can throw out their finisher once, and that's kind of it. And I get to that it's meant to probably be pretty quick. I think potentially in my mind, because it sounds like, I mean, like, you know, like we're looking at 3 damage there. I mean, once you get to 6 damage for some of these guys, they just go over the top rope. Or like we were looking at over here, some of these cards are literally just like, you know, throw them over the ropes. I'll have to, yeah, these special ones, finish them off. You can just play it immediately if they've taken 5 or more damage. That was another weird thing. So 5 or more. So if this guy's on 1 health, you can finish him. Okay. I mean, that's, I guess, better to save for your bigger legends. But, yeah, it's kind of okay. I mean, generally what the play style is, you play, you know, you have your guys, like if you have a 3-player game, I think you have to be at least 3 players. And I was thinking about doing 2 players, but 2 players having like 2 teams, so 4 guys in the ring at a time. That's probably how I would play it. But yeah, so like if you have these 4 guys, they more or less each like, they put down an action card, like a chop, and they point it and say, okay, like Ric Flair is going to do this against, you know, Dusty Rhodes. And everybody does that, and then you look at, you can throw a boost in, apparently, and then you just look at, like, the speed 5, so you kind of go around. And one thing I didn't like was, they said, like, if your speed matches whoever the title holder is, which is whoever goes first, which is literally, the title holder is just literally whoever watched the last WWE event. So that's kind of silly, too. Like, I'm like, what? Why not just ask you to roll dice? Make it fun. Make it so that, like, okay, if you have the same health, you know, you draw a card, you see who has the highest damage or who has the highest speed on the card you draw. Something. I mean, or like I said, put a 6-sided dice in here and say, roll the 6-sided dice and see who wins. So I think it'll still be pretty interesting for, like, me and the kids. But just a little quick review I wanted to go over. I have a friend who's making a wrestling game with like giant monsters, and his sounds much better than this. So, you know, I'm kind of excited to play his game whenever his game becomes more available. But yeah, I mean, I think if I were ever to make a game like this anyway, I think any wrestling game should probably be tag team. I was kind of playing around with my kids before, and we were playing kind of like a D&D version of wrestling, and I made it tag team based because that way you can have a party versus a party, or you can have the party versus the DM, so to speak. And that just makes a lot more sense to me. And I don't think it's too much to manage. I think you get 6 cards. So just having 2 stacks of 6 cards to control more people, I think would be fun. And even if you had like, it does say 2 to 10, which is weird because I think in the rules it says like how to play, you know, 3 players only. Even if, you know, instead of only having 2 people in a ring at a time, why not have more people in the ring? Like I want that Royal Rumble feel. And I think like the way they do it is also kind of odd of they just simplified it. They didn't make anything like, they could have made a card. They should have made a card that literally was like ring entrance. Maybe they do. Maybe I'll have to look through these and see, but I don't think there is. But there should have been a card that was, you know, the whole, that's usually a big deal is, you know, guys are fighting and, you know, $1 Million Man, he's got Nature Boy almost over the rope. And then Bret the Hitman Hart's music hits. And, you know, he runs out and everybody's excited because he was a big surprise. But, like, you don't get that. And that's, like, if I were making a Royal Rumble game, I would, you know, that would be like a key thing I would want to accomplish would be, I want to have the feeling of when a new player runs down to the ring, it changes everything. Like, the landscapes change. And I also think it's kind of interesting of, if you had 2 superstars or legends that you're playing, then you can make up a storyline and kind of be like, oh yeah, you know, unlikely allies, Nature Boy, Ric Flair, and the $1 Million Man, they're going to team up and they're going to go after Macho Man. And then again, unlikely allies, maybe Shawn Michaels helps out Macho. So, I mean, I think that would just be a lot more fun. And it potentially, at least for me, if I was playing this, and as I will play it, I will say that you have to talk like that. You have to bring up the allies. You have to talk about what you're doing. You can't just, like, you know, it's not just meant to be a card game. It should be, especially for something like wrestling, it should be talking about the storyline. Like, how Dusty Rhodes, how would he ever team up with the $1 Million Man? How? Like, you'd have to sell me on that. How in the heck does Dusty Rhodes sell out to the $1 Million Man? How are they unlikely teammates? All right. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, I just wanted to do something a little different. I also kind of wanted to share this with, like, one of my friends, just because I was, you know, we play a lot of card games together and we talk about wrestling a lot. And I thought it would just be fun to show him the game this way instead of just, like, texting. Thanks.